If you were to ask people what's the most important element to make a good TV show, most people would probably say having an amazing main character. And while that is obviously super important, here are amazing TV shows where the side cast is just as good, if not better, than the main character. Avatar: The Last Airbender was the first thing that immediately came to my mind because don't get me wrong, Aang is an amazing character with a great story and development throughout the entire show. I don't want to underdo how good he is as a character. But what really makes Avatar: The Last Airbender an amazing show is all the different supporting characters, starting off with Sokka and Katara, who are there from the very beginning. The show honestly starts with them. Like Team Avatar wasn't already strong enough with the supporting characters. Then in season 2 they go in and add Toph, who I know is a lot of people's favorite character of the entire show. She's not quite there for me, but she is an incredible character that adds so much to the show, and her dynamic with each different character is amazing. And don't even get me started on the Fire Nation characters. So you've got amazing characters like Azula, who is one of the best TV villains of all time in my opinion, and then others like Iroh and then Zuko. And honestly, I think Zuko is easily the best character in the show with the best development by the end of it. And while the entire show is obviously based around Aang and his goal to defeat the Fire Lord, never sideline the other characters. They have their own great stories to go on. They always have stuff to do and ways to be helpful in the missions, and it's what makes the show so special. Let's switch gears a little bit to a comedy, because Community is one of the funniest TV shows ever made in my opinion, and while Jeff Winger is a great main character, I don't think he's anywhere near the best, and it definitely would not be as funny if it wasn't for such a great supporting cast. My picks for best characters in this show are Troy and Abed. Their chemistry together is just so hilarious, and the show was never the same once Troy left. I still honestly am not over him leaving, but obviously I understand Donald Glover was going on to bigger and better things. Dean Pelton has such a small role honestly because he's not even a member of the main group, but every time he's on the show in a scene, he is the funniest part of the entire episode. He is just one of the funniest side characters of all time in television. Even though Britta is terrible in the show, she is actually really a great character, and Annie as well, and they're honestly both a huge part of what make Jeff even a good main character, because half of his character is based on his relationship with these two people. The Boys is definitely another one, because in my TikTok version of this video, I said it was either Homelander or Butcher as the main character. Many people pointed out that they think Huey's actually the main character, and I always knew he was like the driving force of the story, but I never really saw him as the main character. But if you do count him as it definitely qualifies this as where the supporting cast is easily the strongest part of the show. Don't get me wrong, I think Huey is great and has had some amazing moments in the show. I still count Homelander and Butcher as like main characters. Even when you expand past them, the side characters in the show are just so incredible. Like first of all, the Deep and A-Train and all the different members of the Seven we've had throughout the different seasons. Like now we have Sister Sage and Firecracker. They all add so much to the show and have been so funny in their own right. The show's also had more great villains too, like Victoria Newman and Soldier Boy, who was only there for one season, but his impact on the show was just massive and he's became so iconic. We also can't forget Maeve. I really miss her bullying Huey around. I hope she comes back in the show at some point. And other ones like Ashley. The show is just filled to the brim with amazing performances. It's just such an amazing show. They're part of The Boys, which is the name of the TV show, but I definitely count people like Frenchie, Kamiko, and MM as more of side characters. But again, they are also incredible, and especially now in season 4, they're getting so much more development and look at their history, which is really adding to their depth. Bouncing back to another comedy, I know I said Community is one of the funniest shows of all time. Arrested Development, at least the first 3 seasons, is my pick for the funniest TV show of all time because this is one of the greatest ensemble casts of all time. Yes, you have the amazing Jason Bateman leading the show as Michael, and he is great as his character. This show is filled with amazing comedic performances. First of all, you got my boy Tobias. He is absolutely hilarious. Seal, who plays the mother, has some of the best snarky comments in TV show history. Will Arnett, again, absolutely hilarious as Joe. Probably plays one of the best idiots on TV. He's so convincing as this just absolute goofball. Top it all off, then you have Michael Cera in all his awkward glory as George Michael. He just really is the cherry on top of this entire amazing cast. Now, The Sopranos is a little different than the other ones on this list because I do think Tony Soprano as the main character is the best character in the entire show, but I gotta give credit to all the supporting cast members of this. Every single person in this show is just absolutely amazing at filling in their role. I think Paulie and Christopher are 2 of my favorites. They are incredible, and Christopher in particular has just some amazing moments on his own in this show. Then you got the rest of Tony Soprano's family, which is really what makes him what he is as a main character. If these guys are not so good in their role, he would not be as iconic as a character as he is. Attack on Titan is easily one of the greatest shows ever created, and it probably has one of the deepest rosters of the best supporting characters of all time. Like, there are so many amazing side characters. Obviously, you have the super iconic ones like Armin and Mikasa that are there from the very beginning to the end and are just crucial pieces to this story. Then you got other recruits like John and Shasha that are absolutely great characters as well. I think I'd honestly put Levi and Erwin as my number 1 and 2 favorite characters in this entire show. They are just both so incredible for their own very unique reasons. Levi is obviously just absolutely a badass that really has a haunting backstory that shows you why he is so fueled to be the guy that he has turned into, this just absolutely demolishing Titan master. Then Erwin is just one of the greatest leaders we've ever seen in fiction. Obviously you got people like Hanji, who's been incredible throughout the entire run of the show and had one of the greatest sacrifices I've ever seen. It was such an emotional moment. It goes further than even that though, because then you got Reiner, Bertol, and Annie and all the developments with them obviously being the Titans. They've had such great impact on the show, and Reiner and Annie specifically have had amazing development from that very first season to the end of the show. But it just keeps going. Zeke, Historia, Peak, they're all just incredible characters. Pretty much everyone besides Gabby is an amazing character in this show.